Welcome back, everybody. As many of you know, we posted a question over on Facebook to let me know whatever questions you had, and I'm going to try to answer them on video format. This actually, I believe, is going to be the last one I'm going to do. We will do this again in a couple of months, but I don't want the channel to just be this. And after this, we'll start getting back to doing regular reviews, product reviews, gun reviews, ammo tests, etc. So, last one. Let's get into it. Let me start my clock, actually. Oops. And we're started. All right. What do you think of a Krebbs peep sight? I like it. It works well. A lot of folks, particularly folks who are used to the AR platform, definitely prefer a peep sight. And if you add that to your AK, it gives you that same sight picture. So if you like that and you prefer it, go for it. It's a quality product. Obviously, Krebbs doesn't put out junk. So it's definitely good. If you think it'll help you, which many people it will, go for it. What gun do you regret selling? Yeah, without question, I had a Wilson Combat CQB. I've alluded to it before here on the channel, and I sold it, and I definitely wish I didn't. The only reason I really sold it is because I got a ridiculously good deal on it from a guy who was just trying to get rid of it. And I was like, man, I don't need this expensive a gun, so I can use it to get other guns, so that's kind of what I did. But now, looking back, I wish I never did that. So that's it, for sure. What are your opinions on Froglube, and have you had the chance to try the new Froglube Super Degreaser? If you haven't seen that, I did a review on Froglube. I did a test review video. I'm still using it on 2 of those 3 guns, just as sort of a long-term trial, if you will. And it's still working well for me. There's a lot of pros and cons to it, as I listed in that video, but I know some folks have reported issues with it. I've never had any, and I realize, I also know that they have reformulated it since I had my batch in. So I know they have a new batch out that's sort of addressing some of the problems that some folks reported, like mold and other issues. So from what I understand, the new batch and the new formulation is working out well. So, I mean, I never had a problem with it. It works fine. If you like the properties of it, I say go for it. 10.5 or 11.5 for an SBR or pistol AR-15. Well, I will be doing a video on barrel lengths for ARs, and I will cover this in much more detail and much more depth with examples and so on and so forth. But in general, if there's not a reason that you need a super short AR, I mean, even if and you're going to be using it for serious purposes, let me put it that way, to try to stop people who are trying to kill you. If you're going to use it for serious purposes, I generally like to go with the 11.5 over the 10.5. It's how do I want to say this gently without causing controversy? In general, 11.5 inch or 12 inch or 12.5 inch ARs will run more reliably. In general, yes, there are reliable 10.5 inch SBRs, but it'll run more reliably. It'll also give you more velocity, and that definitely matters when you start reaching out beyond like 50 meters and beyond. A lot of the 223 and 5.56 rounds rely on velocity to to initiate their wound profile. So, I mean, yeah, you can still use a 10.5. You just want to make sure you use the right ammo if you're trying to use it for defensive purposes. But I think 11.5, that extra inch gives you a lot more. It gives you more wiggle room in there with ammo and ammo performance. So that's my answer. Nothing wrong with 10.5, but if you want an 11.5 or if you can use an 11.5, I'd go that route. For someone who is younger and on a budget, what are good ways to become a better shooter? Dry fire practice, not just trigger press, but drawing from a holster, presenting the gun, practicing just with muscle memory, getting your grip, and as well as, dry fire practice, focusing on that front sight, all those things, flash sight pictures, any of those, they're free and they work. If you put the time in and you do 10 minutes of it a day, I mean, if you do 10 solid minutes of those things I just said a day, you will become proficient in short time. No doubt about it. I mean, obviously, there's no substitute for range time, but it will make the range time you put in much more productive and much more valuable. BCM or Daniel Defense. Well, I think I talked about this a little bit actually in a video, one of the earlier ones I just did in this series. I tell people, if you have somewhere in the $1,000 to $1,500 range for an AR, and you want a factory gun, you don't want to build it, BCM and Daniel Defense are the 2 brands I'll look at. I can't answer the question because it would really depend on the actual rifles that we're talking about. But without question, they have excellent quality control. They also have excellent customer service, and they put out quality products. So either one of those companies, if you're looking for sort of a step up from the Smith & Wesson or the Colts of the world, I know some of you guys are going to say there's a huge difference there too. I got it. But and there is, depending on the model. But if you're looking for sort of a step up from that, those are the ones I'd look hard at, and pick whichever model you prefer. I mean, there's no answer to that question, guys. Sorry. Preferred self-defense load in 7.62 by 3.9. The Hornet DSST is a very proven round. I've tested it here on the channel. It penetrates a little more than I would generally like, but it's still not too bad. If you're going up for either hunting or self-defense, it's one I'd take a look at. There are other good rounds though as well. But just off the top of my head, that's the one I would put out there. How long have you had your potato head? Those of you who watch me on YouTube may not know there was a interesting troll that was trolling the channel. I posted some of his comments over on my Facebook page so people could read them. But he accused me of some bad things, along with having a potato head and apparently being a homosexual. He didn't use those words, but it's I don't know. I don't know how long I've had my potato head to answer the question, but that gentleman or woman, whoever it is, or child, is banned now. So hopefully they won't be back with a new username. What is your current field educational background? How did you get into this? What type of workouts do you do? That's 4 questions in one. That guy's greedy. I've talked about not talking about my job before, so we'll go to the next one. Educational background. I have spent way too much time in classrooms. Let's put it that way. I have multiple degrees, tons. So everything from finance to marketing to linguistics to other crap too. So yeah, way too much time in a classroom, especially too much time in a classroom to speak as poorly as I do and use words like y'all in videos, which I do. I'm sure my professors are cringing. But yeah, so I have degrees in all those things I just listed, at various levels of degrees as well. How did I get into this? I've talked about it before, but I had actually a Glock 19 Gen 4 that was extremely problematic. Had to go back to the factory 3 times before they replaced it. I told them, you guys know, many of you know I'm a Glock armor. I have a lot of experience with Glocks. And I told them the gun was messed up. They kept saying it was me, or I could just swap one thing out or whatever. It wasn't. It was the gun. The gun was a bad gun. And I made a video and put it on YouTube and posted it over at Glock Talk. And I got tons of views, and people started asking questions. And it led to, the publicity there led to Glock replacing my gun, which was a good thing, to the one I've had since, which has been a great gun. But yeah, that's how I got into it. People asking questions, asking if I could do a video on X, Y, or Z. And it turned into this monster that you see now, where I have a freaking green screen in my house and production studio lights in front of me. So it has become a gigantic animal. When it all started out on a little point and shoot camera of my wife shooting some footage of me shooting a gun in the woods. So it's gotten out of control. Put it that way. But I like it. No, it's good. What type of workouts do you do? I do a mixture of weights and weightlifting. I'm trying to focus on the big lifts, deadlift, bench press, squats, and mixing in other stuff as well. I do that 2 or 3 times a week, and I run 2 or 3 times a week, somewhere in the range of 2 to 5 miles each time. So that's what I do for working out. At my age, that's enough. That's funny. Magpul ACS stock thoughts. I like it. It's a good stock. I don't think I've reviewed that one here on the channel, but it's a good stock. If you like it and it meets what you want out of a stock, by all means, go for it. It's very good. You've seen it here on the channel. I have one. I've used it in many videos. How does the Palmetto State Armory A10 shoot? I don't know. I haven't shot one yet. For those of you who don't follow me on Facebook, I was invited down to Palmetto State Armory to take a tour of the facilities and play with some of their toys. And I will do that. The time, it was supposed to be a while ago. Conflicting schedules happened. So I wasn't able to do it, but it will still happen. You will see it in the future, hopefully the near future. But yeah, I'll be going down there, hopefully playing with it, and I will let you guys know. I don't know yet, though. Next question is, now that 7.6 is banned, would you choose a 5.56 AK over a 5.45? Why or why not? No, I wouldn't. I really like the 5.45 round, as you guys know. I don't want to say I don't like 5.56 because I do. But if we're talking, cheap ammo that is abundant, like Full Metal Jacket rounds or things like that, in my opinion, and this is painting with broad strokes here, folks. Don't get your panties in a bunch. The cheap ammo for 5.45 performs better in terms of terminal ballistics than cheap ammo in 5.56 or 2.23. That said, when you get into your purpose design rounds like Hornady Tap or something like that, or whatever OTM, your very high quality OTM loads, the 5.56 is probably a better round than most of the 5.45. But I like the characteristics of 5.45. I like the AK-74 platform. So no, but I do have 5.56 AKs as well. Simple answer to the question, I guess you could say. Thoughts on pistol caliber carbines or pistols like the POF 5PK? That's an HK variant for those of you guys that don't know. I like pistol caliber carbines. I like pretty much anything that goes bang. So it's not too hard to get me to like it. But as long as it's reliable. But I prefer pistol caliber carbines that can be easily converted to an SBR or utilize some sort of a stabilizing brace under our absurd laws, I should say, that we have. So yeah, I mean, if you like it, and especially if you're a reloader and you can reload handgun ammunition on the cheap, by all means, get at it. There's nothing wrong with them. I mean, I prefer, if we're going to a gunfight, I prefer a rifle, but a real rifle with rifle caliber ammunition. But if you like, like Chris or whatever, have at it, man. They're good guns. Favorite fast food restaurant? I don't eat fast food, so I don't really have one. I guess you'd say quick food, maybe Chipotle. I like Chipotle. It's delicious. I have a rough action on my M92. It's not as smooth as my other AK. What are the ways I can make the M92 run like if it's on glass? That's not written right, but I know what he means. Run a little smoother. So yeah, I mean, polishing up the edges anywhere on the receiver and your rails. Also, taking a little bit off the hammer and then polishing it up. Rifle Dynamics, Jim Fuller has some very good videos on this on YouTube. And also polishing up the areas of your carrier that make contact throughout the cycling action of the gun. Those are pretty much the ways to do it. And like I said, check out Jim Fuller's videos. He has some good ones out there, and I'm sure there's others on YouTube as well that are pretty good. So that's how you do it. What do you think of the 6.5 Grendel? Have you ever shot one? Review would be cool. I'm torn about this caliber, I think he means, or 6.8 SPC. The 6.5 rounds are good. They have a lot of potential in terms of having great ballistic coefficients. Like the 6.5 Creedmoor, for example. A lot of them have a lot of potential for great accuracy and long range capabilities. But that's sort of a different round than you're talking about. The Grendel. Oh, if we're talking about 6.5 Grendel or 6.8 SPC, I would by all means go 6.8. A couple reasons for it. Number one, and most importantly, it is a military round. What I mean by that is there are armies in the world that use it. I know off the top of my head the Jordanian army uses that as their standard round. Also, there are a couple that I know of anyway, special operations contracts that utilize 6.8 SPC. So that alone is going to ensure that it's more likely that you will see that versus the 6.5 Grendel in the future. Also, it will lead to better round development, at least in my opinion. That tends to be the trend when things are adopted by militaries, that happens. So if you're torn, I'd go 6.8. That's my recommendation. When are you going to build the AR-10 with the new Palmetto State Army parts? I think I kind of addressed that. Maybe one of these days. Maybe after I go down there, see if I can use one and then say, oh, it's used. Sell it to me cheaper. We'll see. I don't know. I would like some ideas, thoughts about some optics that cost less than $100. Thanks. If we're talking about serious use, I would not use them. If we're talking about defensive use, I wouldn't recommend any of them. I realize some of you guys are going to say my TRS-25 is a tank and my primary arms microdot is a tank and it's just as reliable as the Aimpoint. Cool. If you guys believe that and you feel that way, then by all means use it. I'm okay with that. Me personally, giving a recommendation, I would not give that recommendation. But that said, the two best that are in that price range are the ones I just mentioned, the TRS-25 and the primary arms microdot. Both of those, in my experience, have been extremely reliable sights, and they work as designed, both very high quality in terms of what you get for the money. So I guess that's my answer in a nutshell, if you will. What's your money is no object rifle? Probably, it would definitely be something full auto. Off the top of my head, maybe one of the full auto, like one of the first imported AKs with the milled receiver straight from Russia, the ones that are, actually still have the fun switch. There's a lot of variants, but probably one of those. They're pretty cool, and they're obviously historically significant. That's the top of my head, guys. I don't know. But those things are freaking expensive. They're a lot more than I have, that's for sure. What's your opinion on the trigger screw that helps make your AR trigger better? I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. I know what you're referring to, but I've never used it, so I don't have an opinion on it, I guess we'll say. If you had just one pistol, what would it be? Gen 3 Glock 19. It does everything pretty well. EOTech or Aimpoint? As you guys know who watch the channel, I have multiple of both. I like both. Speaking of things I recommend for defensive use, that would be it. I would recommend that you get an EOTech or an Aimpoint of your choosing, and that would be, obviously you can go with 1x4 optics and stuff like that too. We'll get into that in another video. If you want to do that, that's fine. I have no problem with that as well. But if we're talking about red dot sights, one of those two. It really comes down to if you want battery life, in my opinion, or a reticle that you prefer. A lot of folks prefer the EOTech reticle, but you're sacrificing some battery life. It's a trade-off. It is what it is. But the EOTechs have gotten much better. I've reviewed the 553 here in the past, which is an excellent optic, but it still had the problems that I discussed in that video with the batteries and so on and so forth. The new ones, the XPS and the 2 and 3 and the EXPS versions are awesome. They are extremely high quality. They have battery issues resolved, and they're great. If you want an EOTech, I recommend one of those two for sure. Obviously, there's differences in them too. Do some research. I will also be reviewing them down the road, so you'll see reviews on them. One of those two. But I've said before, and I stand by it, that the Aimpoint T1 is my favorite red dot ever. It's just so freaking durable. It's lightweight. It's bomb-proof. You guys have seen the testing done on it over by Mr. Vickers over on his channel. It's extremely impressive. That said, I would feel 100% comfortable if I had an EOTech 553 on my home defense rifle. I would not feel that I was giving anything up. It's just personal preference at that point. So I guess that's my answer. We're getting on time. Okay, how do you poop in a public restroom with concealed carry? Good question. If I have a holster that will retain the gun, I just leave it there and poop like regular. If not, I take the gun out and either leave it on the toilet paper roll, or if there's not one of those that will actually accommodate that, I will just put it between my feet so that way I maintain some sort of control of it. Obviously, if people started reaching through a stall, we have other issues, but that's how I do it. No secret answer. And I guess that's going to have to do it, guys. Sorry to cut this one short. I think this will be the last one in the series, guys, until we do it again for another month. So if you didn't get your question answered this time, fear not. There will be another series like this in the future. And after this, I'm going to get back to reviewing stuff like you guys want, I'm sure. Incidentally, somebody asked about a shirt, selling shirts in the previous video, so I decided to wear one. This is what they look like. They come in a bunch of different colors. There's links in the video description, but they do help the channel out. That's about it. If you guys have any questions about anything I talked about in the video, if you have more questions, stand by. I will post again on Facebook. Follow me over there. When it happens next time, get your questions in early. Because I just go in order as they came in. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope I didn't bore you too bad, and I hope to see you in the next video.